We're going to bring in Marlene. Hey, Marlene. So this is Marlene with Divvy. She is going to be our expert, our representative. So I'm going to use a realistic number that I've seen from someone. I get a pre-approval for $170,000. But I want to get to at least $200,000. My purchase price of $200,000. I can go in and say that I have a savings where I can put in an additional amount of money to raise that buying power. Is that correct?
That's right. So you could contribute an additional amount to the down payment to get you incrementally closer to that $200,000 range. And so the one caveat that you might want to keep in mind is that in Texas, we actually have a limit of allowing clients to add up to 10% in down payment. So let's say, you have a client who traditionally would have the 2% option with Divvy. They would go ahead and add in up to 10% total down payment in order to get them into that higher, tier of home purchase price. But essentially, you want to think of it as almost like a scale. If you're here, you're adding in more money to get you to that purchase price, you're going to move this part of the scale forward until you hit that home purchase price that you're looking for.
So let's say I applied, I'm at that 170. I don't have the extra money on there, but I only put in my W-2 finances. But I also have a side job that I do. I have other income. So once I've gotten that 170, I'm like, I do not want this 170. I want at least $200,000. Is there a way for me to go back in and add additional financials so that I can bump that number up to 200?
Yep, that's exactly right, Dana. Great question. Yes. So at that point, you have that side job, you have additional income that you make on a monthly basis that is unreported via W-2, but is obviously a form of income that you report otherwise. Yes, you can absolutely add that in. Typically in those cases when we're seeing like self-employment or side jobs or independent contractor jobs, we're typically looking at bank statements. So what I like to say is as long as we can build a paper trail to your form of income, we can add it in for Divvy to review and add into your budget.
Let's say we apply, everything is good, the numbers are right, we find the house that we want to be in, we're happy, everything is going swell. So what happens if somebody misses a payment or changes their mind and decides not to move forward with Divvy, yet they paid the extra money above the lease price? What happens to that, and what happens to the contract? Like in general, what happens?
Yes, great question. So if you are, in your home for a year and you're like, this is turning out to be not what I wanted. I need to move. Like I have a bigger family now. I had a kid. I have dog. Whatever the reason is, if it's not working, that's okay. Divvy, I think, also is really understanding of the fact that it's a lease to own option, right? And so we're really giving the flexibility of potentially buying back and then potentially not buying back. So what I would say is really wonderful about Divvy is that we do have the option for you guys to leave that lease, whenever you need to, even if it's a month in, 2 months in. I think the one thing to keep in mind is that Divvy essentially at that point will treat your initial 2% down payment as a security fee. So let's say you're leaving the home, you'll take everything else that you have saved with Divvy with you minus your initial 2%. And so that's one thing to keep in mind. However, we don't report leaving, the lease as a broken lease. We don't, we want you guys to be able to move forward and move into another home if that's what you were looking to do. But in those cases, we try to be as flexible as possible. But the one thing to keep in mind and that I'm super upfront about is that in leaving, whether it's 1 year in, 2 years in, or at the 3-year period, the only thing that you would not take with you from your savings is going to be your initial 2% down payment. Everything else, the monthly savings that you've built over that time, goes with you. And to the point around adding additional down payment. So let's say you added more money up front so that you could get into the home that you wanted. We would only keep the 2%. If you added, 5%, 6%, 7%, you would keep the remainder of that. We would just keep that initial 2% down. And we use that as a relisting fee. And I liken it to like a security deposit that you would not get back for having left the home.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in to our Lunch and Learn about Divvy. What we always want you to know is we believe that there are different ways to home ownership. Everybody does not have the same route to home ownership. That's why we're bringing you Divvy, and we'll be bringing more programs to you guys. So stay tuned. So again, reach out to us, and always remember, we're always invested in your investment.
Absolutely.
Have a great day.
Thank you.